Thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Donielle from Naturally Knocked Up, and she is from the US, and I've asked her to join me today just so that she can connect with you and we can learn a little bit more about what other people are doing around the world in terms of their fertility and natural health. Donielle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
I know, well, it is nighttime where you are, and it's nice and morning for me. So, but I just want you to maybe talk to the audience and explain a little bit about yourself and who you are, and so that they can better understand what you do.
Okay. Well, I actually started my website almost 5 years ago now, and it kind of stemmed from me having my own fertility issues, and I had already gone through a couple years of researching and looking for information and kind of hitting ends with my medical doctors who really just didn't have the information I wanted. And so after a couple years of reading and looking for things on the internet and finding as many books as I could, I thought, there aren't that many websites dedicated to natural fertility, and I was having a really hard time finding the information online. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put out the information that I find.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it's been really, well received because, this information, unfortunately, is hard to find sometimes. So it's been fun being able to share over these last few years. And we've been able to grow our family a little bit during that time. And I've really kind of, I can't say I've completed my journey yet because there are always things in the natural health realm that I'm still learning and adding to, our things in the way that, our lifestyle dictates we have to live for a certain really short period of time. But I've learned a ton over the last few years just with, my own research and also with the people who come to my website that share, their own personal experiences with things, which has been really important for me as well.
Okay, awesome. We lost you for a little bit there, but I think the gist of what you're saying is that a lot of what you've created has come from a personal experience, and then your drive to help. Well, recognise that there was this problem and then help others is amazing because you're, I guess it's a little bit different from what I do in the sense that I haven't had these battles, but I see lots of women who do have these battles. And so, the relationship or the connection that you have with these women is that you probably understand it, even though I'm dealing with it all the time. It's another level again, I think, and the painfulness of fertility issues is very real, and it's not something that's addressed, I don't think.
No, not often at all. There's kind of, I don't know, this little bit of a hush-hush, atmosphere around fertility issues. Most couples really aren't open to sharing their struggles. And so,
it's interesting too. I think I only realised this a few weeks ago, and yours and my message is about fertility, but a lot of people will not put their hand up, and even I put a post out and I said, I wonder how many people read my information behind closed doors, and the response was phenomenal, and my heart broke because, for me, fertility just isn't about babies. It's about being the healthiest version of yourself, although people that are attracted to what you and I do are those women that are more than likely having issues around that. So it is really tricky, but I think also just having some comfort in the fact that there is this community and that people can come together and broaden their knowledge and make educated choices.
Yes, definitely. And over the last few years, I've seen more and more websites come up kind of across the world. It's kind of funny that, when I look for here in the U.S. for people who are dedicated to, basically just to natural fertility, you come up with a handful of them, and yet, I found more in Australia and the UK, and so it's almost kind of like we're all all over the world a little bit, everybody trying to find their own, resources and information.
Yeah, it's nice now because there are more than what there were, certainly, like you said, when you first started out, and certainly when I first started out, it was something that we just didn't talk about. It was very, very behind closed doors. But, more and more, I think people are starting to understand also that fertility isn't limited to, like I said, having babies. We're looking at things like polycystic ovarian syndrome. We're looking at endometriosis, thyroid problems, extending right through, well, I do anyway, to other issues like other, cancer and those sorts of things that are very much a part of you being the healthiest version of yourself. So, when we explore out a bit further, we start to see more people, come and look for sites like yours and mine.
Yes, definitely. And, when I first started my website, I was in the midst of trying to conceive our second, and excuse me, and I really, I was focused on the fertility aspect, different things we could do to increase, our fertility and try and get pregnant. But really, over the years, I've realized, it goes so much deeper than that, because, if there's reproductive issues, there's another health issue that kind of stands in the way of that, and it kind of needs to be fixed first. And, it can also cause complications, later on in life. So it's, a lot of times the fertility issues are really due to, underlying health conditions.
Yeah, fabulous. So what are some of the topics or the main topics that you will discuss on your site, just so that my listeners have a bit more of an idea? Do you go into lifestyle and diet and emotions and all those sorts of things as well?
Yep. For topics, we also do like PCOS, because it's something that I've dealt with. Quite a few of the symptoms over the years, which have lessened, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm. And it's refreshing to know that's possible, because how many women do you have come to you or read and email and say, can I actually fall pregnant because I got told that I couldn't? I've got polycystic ovarian syndrome and I got told I can't have babies.
Oh, really?
I get that all the time.
Yeah, I see it a lot on like PCOS forums online too, that, these women are basically just told, well, sorry, you have PCOS, you're going to have to, do IUIs, IVF, major, conventional fertility treatments. And really, when you focus on, the real issues behind it, you can kind of increase your fertility as you lessen the PCOS symptoms.
And just get healthy, which is nice.
Yeah, and I end up covering it, every once in a while, because so many of my readers also have PCOS. And lately, especially this last year, we've been talking a lot about thyroid conditions and adrenal fatigue, because, well, both I have dealt with over the last couple of years. So, there's been a nice community growing a little bit with different women trying to figure out exactly how they can fix their thyroids or their adrenals and get their health back.
Yeah, and it's so important moving forward, because it's not just about now, it's also about later years and the transition even through menopause, something that I deal with, and it doesn't have to be awful, but so many women just accept the fact that it's this awful stage of their life. But when your thyroid's working properly and your adrenals are doing the same, it's a much smoother transition.
Yes, and hopefully, I'm in my early 30s now. Hopefully, I can kind of get a handle on everything now. Yeah. So in 15 years or so, I won't have the same issues that my mother and grandmother did.
Yeah, but it's also that awareness too, just creating that awareness for you personally, but then being able to share that experience with others. People can identify with that. That's a really beautiful thing. And I love your website because it's just got so much information, and it's very, well, I think it's very unique.
Well, thank you. I try to actually, I put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
But we do try to cover a lot of different, topics to make sure that, we're covering a lot of just different women's health issues, and not necessarily just, fertility based, but
Yes.
also, just nutrition for preconception and, the topics that pretty much all women deal with.
And it's so important too. I think the funny thing is that the nutrition that is necessarily for preconception is generally really the same nutrition that we need right across the board. It's not like one needs a different diet to the next. I think that's quite interesting, and it's usually when people are ready to conceive that they'll start to look at how they can improve their nutrition. And for me, I really need to come back to encouraging people when they're young and they're being diagnosed, or even if they're not being diagnosed, to encourage them to eat that same way, because it fuels your body properly, and that's, it's where it starts, is nutrition.
Yes, exactly. And, everything I post about with, nutrition and whole foods diets and eating real foods, it's kind of hard sometimes because, I do run a natural fertility website. So the people who come to my website are, looking for natural fertility information. And really, I just want to broadcast, this is for everybody.
Yeah, totally.
Everybody eat this way. This is important for you too.
Yeah, totally. I know I get those questions. Is this okay if I'm breastfeeding? I'm like, totally okay. This is how you need to eat if you're living. If you have a heartbeat. Oh, well, that's awesome. And have you got any other exciting things in the pipelines that you'd like to share with everybody? Have you got any? Because I know you're really busy. You do, seminars, online seminars and things like that, that other people can see what you're all about. Have you got anything like that coming up?
Well, later on this summer, it's
winter for us.
Winter for you guys there.
It's freezing.
Later on in my summer.
Yeah.
Late August-ish, I'm going to be releasing a cleansing for conception book, just kind of covering some of the basic ways we can boost our body's own natural detoxification system.
Great.
And then next month I'm going through a little bit of a redesign on the website, and I'm also bringing in a few contributing writers, which will help me cover a little bit more topics. We'll be going a little bit more into kind of the emotions that kind of, that we deal with as women and as couples when we're dealing with infertility or loss. So
it's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. You know that there's a few things there that we'll be doing almost simultaneously, so that's really exciting and something for both of our viewers to look out for. But I have asked Donielle if we can perhaps, have another session like this where we actually look at some things a little bit more closely, possibly polycystic ovaries or some topics. So if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, please don't hesitate to email those to me, or you can comment in the comments section below. But I'd like to thank you, Donielle, for joining me today. It's been so lovely to talk to you, and I really encourage people to check out your site. Do you want to mention what the URL is of that before we're done?
Oh, sure. It's www.naturallyknockedup.com.
Fantastic.
Yep.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say they can find me there, and then I also have links to Facebook on my website as well.
Excellent. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Donielle.
Thank you so much.
You have a good evening.